What's up, guys? I'm SaltEMike, and this is your weekend review for August 3rd, 2020. It's been a rough week for Star Citizen. We have a lot to talk about today, so we're going to get into it as quickly as possible. But before we do, if this is your first weekend review, it's basically where I take all of the official news coming out of Star Citizen, bundle it into one package in a video on Monday, and insert my little opinions in there as well. So if you do enjoy the video and you did like it, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, all that stuff, because it really helps with the YouTube algorithm and gets me out there to more people and allows my channel to grow. All right, with that said, let's jump into the patch notes. We had 4 patches this week, patches on the PTU, Q, R, S, and T. We do not have a live patch for 3.10 yet. So starting out with patch Q, we updated targeting a little bit. I'm just highlighting a couple things from each patch. The big change is basically that T is now for target, and it cycles targets that are in your view. So we get an actual keybind for cycling now that's already set for us. And that used to be T was for torch, for your ship lights. That's now been moved to L. This is not for FPS though. For FPS, it is still T. All right, now for patch R, they basically fixed the 600i and it can fly in atmosphere somewhat now. I'm sure it's not great, but it is not as horrid as it was before. And this is the second mass driver nerf for the mass drivers this patch. They got a revision. They were very powerful to start, and now they are probably out of the meta at this point. 3.10S, they put the Singes, which are the tachyon cannons, for the Banu only, I believe. I don't think you can move them to any other ships anymore. Also, they removed limited ships from the shops that you can buy in the store. And I think normally this would be something I would be upset about, but basically what they removed were the uniquely skinned ships, like the Titan Renegade, stuff like that. So every ship that is flyable and is not limited, you can get in-game for in-game credits, except for the Reliant series, we think, for some reason, and that's one of the oldest ships out there, so I think it just kind of slipped their mind. So CIG, if you're listening, could you put the Reliant series in, please? A lot of people like the Tana and some of those other ships. 3.10T, the Singes got their second nerf. Keybind images were updated. So the actual image on the screen when you look at the keybinds is updated to what they are at currently. This is a big deal because it probably means they're done updating keybinds for the time being, until 3.11 probably, and mining scanning got a fix. This was a very annoying bug where you would scan, it would ping an area, and then you would scan again, and it would ping in a different area, and you had no idea where to go. They also updated on us when we would go live. They said early to mid next week, so either early, as in as early as today, or somewhere around Wednesday, Thursday would be my guess. I'm assuming they're going to take as much time as they need on this one. What's a couple days at this point? You're already a month late, right? Moving on to roadmap updates. We had a minor update here with roadmap roundup. Just the Greycat multi-tool update was kind of a big one. There was a cutter update where we were going to have the actual cutter part of the Greycat, and they prioritized the tractor beam over that. So there was really no point in doing the cutter because they're prioritizing the tractor beam. What's weird is Squadron 42, they highlighted the cutter beam on your multi-tool as something used in the vertical slice. So I wonder why that isn't something prioritized when Squadron 42 is the prioritization right now, right? So maybe not always. Maybe sometimes things for Star Citizen maybe are highlighted and more important occasionally. And I'm sure we'll use a tractor beam in Squadron 42 as well. They added the B2 bearing shotgun to 3.11. This thing looks awesome. It's got a round magazine, which is really cool, and I'm looking forward to trying these things. Shotguns are, if you do play any Star Marine, they're pretty powerful. Video updates. Moving on to that, we did have a pretty good week as far as video updates go. ISC, they showed us the Rock, and the Rock is a ground buggy, basically, that can mine hand minables. So what they did was they made the hand minables larger, and now you are basically required to use one of these vehicles to mine them. This is on the surface. I believe in the caves, the hand animals are still the original size. So they kind of start out with, why make this vehicle in the first place right now?
You know, this game that we're making is sort of this open world sandbox game. You know, just like in the real world, you have specific tools for specific jobs.
And it helps people who don't want to be in that combat profession actually be able to contribute to the economy. And I think that it shouldn't just be spaceships, it should also be ground vehicles, and the Rock is one vehicle in a whole line of vehicles that we want to do in the future.
Pretty cool. I really like this vehicle. I've got to try it all the way from the beginning of the PTU until now. There is a little bit of an issue with it where you can't really earn a lot of money with it, but the idea of how it works is really exciting, really fun. I've had a ton of fun playing with it. And the big thing that's fun is that anybody that has any ship can mine now. It just needs to fit, not any ship, I should say. Any ship that can fit this vehicle can mine. So like a Cutlass, a Valkyrie, Freelancer, things like that. Again, first tractor beam in the game, so this kind of ties into the prioritization with the multi-tool tractor beam that we just talked about. This one's kind of interesting, and it may not seem that interesting, and we'll talk after the clip.
So we decided to go with the gathering beam, which is awesome. It's actually kind of like a little tractor beam, which is exciting because it's the first time we've ever had one of these in the game somewhere that players could use in the persistent universe.
And then that shoots out basically a cylinder. Everything in that cylinder gets pulled into the head, and then those are then deposited into your inventory in the back.
So again, it looks exactly the same as your standard mining tractor beam, but that's what the tractor beam is. It's faked. You click it on a rock and these, pretend rocks appear out of nowhere, and then the rock just poofs, right? This is actually physically picking up gems that broke on the floor. It's very different. It is the first tractor beam in the game, the first official one. And then they did a feature on explosions. There really isn't much to discuss here, but it was very cool to look at, and it is very nice to see how enthusiastic the guys who work on some of their, the art assets and things like that are about their work. So make sure you check that out. Link, as always, of everything that we discuss and we can review is always in the description down below. And then we had a calling all devs this week, and this was on finishing the Stanton system. So what's needed to finish?
I think it'll be kind of a cascade of things. So the first thing that we're focusing on is basically finishing out the celestial bodies, and really all we have left is Crusader, and then major landing zone associated with Crusader Horizon. And then from that side, we're in a good place. And then as other systems come online, whether that be medical gameplay or hospitals or let's say salvage or other aspects, like we will be going through and sweeping through the system and making sure that we add that gameplay, to there. So from Ian's standpoint, it might be done, from the celestial body standpoint as well as his major landing zones, but from my standpoint, like we'll be working on this until we're done with our systems.
It's clear the only thing they need to finish the system is to just make Crusader the real gas giant that it is, and the Orison landing zone, and I guess removing Delamar too would be part of the finish. But when he says add the gameplay as they get it, this will obviously be for all systems that they're working on, not just the Stanton system. We obviously know they're working on Pyro now. As they get additional gameplay systems in the game, they're obviously going to address them in other systems also. What about environment art? So they had two people on the call. It wasn't just Todd Pappy. They had an environment lead, and they had Todd Pappy, who's kind of like the Star Citizen lead at this point. So what is environment art doing, and what do they need to have done?
Yes and no. So yes, in the sense that we're working towards an objective to kind of close out what we've previously discussed. And as Todd said, this could be to do with celestial bodies, or it could be to do with landing zones. But in that side of things, it's fairly quantifiable. So, but on another side, we're we're also developing tech as we go, right? So, and what I mean by that is, as new tech comes online, it's very important to not showcase that in a new system coming down the pipe. I think it's very important that we showcase that in Stanton. So an example would be, as Planet Tech is developed, last quarter you saw us update the hype maps. And we've got quite a lot of content coming in the next quarter, so those kind of give a little example as to how we're looking to still focus on developing our original system, Stanton, but also we're looking to expand out into other systems. So
I think his answer was pretty obvious, and I feel like it sometimes needs to be shared and made clear that this game is still in progress, and any work that they're doing will apply to a system that is quote unquote finished. So the Stanton system may have all of its planets, it may have a decent amount of gameplay and locations, but as they get new tech and as they figure out new things, they will obviously come and make a pass on that system and update it to their current state. The key is that they are moving on to new systems. And I think that is the biggest part of this clip, is that they're not just focusing on Stanton and that's all we're ever going to play. They are still focusing on new systems, and they want to get out of Stanton, and they will come back to it and address it when need be. So this next clip is going to be kind of funny. It really addresses a lot of the comments that I see, and I feel like now I'm going to get a million of these comments just as a joke. But a lot of people go, well, why would they make Orison? Why don't they make more gameplay? And it's not really how it works. So have a listen.
We're building the sets ready for the actors to come in, and that's kind of a nice analogy, a nice way to kind of look at things. So even though we're laying the foundations, it kind of gives the opportunity for other teams to kind of put their content in a little bit later on.
The environment art team needs to make things that gameplay can be in before the gameplay is made, right? So in general, the environment art team should be one step ahead of the gameplay side, the gameplay teams that are working on just gameplay features, right? But it's just unfortunate that the gameplay teams are lagging way behind for whatever reasons, whether it's tech reasons or things that obviously they don't communicate very well to us, because it's hard to say right now why they're so far behind as far as gameplay goes. We can only speculate and assume it's things like not wanting to update until server meshing is in, server performance, all that kind of thing. Then they addressed what's next.
So from a design side and as well as an art side, we're focusing on monster closets, which is just our goofy way of saying, hey, this is where our AI will spawn and kind of out of view and then also despawn out of view. From there, we've got basically prepping for hospital gameplay and the healing aspects. So Ian and I have already had early discussions with the team as far as what we need to do there, as well as Rich Tyre and other directors on kind of how we want to roll that system out, as well as the environments associated with that system at the same time. And then we also are working on what we consider kind of space station exterior access points, and this will allow us to have different missions, whether that be a repair mission or whether that be like a dead drop or infiltration or those types of things. So you can actually access different parts of the space station from EVA and then be able to enter into the space station and do things there.
So they kind of touch on medical gameplay, which is pretty exciting. The NPC thing, I figured it was a nice thing to share, but not much to discuss, obviously. But medical gameplay is really interesting. We don't see this on the roadmap anywhere. Hospital's not on the roadmap as far as I'm aware, so I assume we'll be hearing about this in the coming months, quarters, something like that, but that definitely seems to be on their mind at the moment. And then the last thing is, why is Orison moving to next year? This is something that showed up on the roadmap last week, and it would be nice to hear the real, like, from the horse's mouth, why.
There's going to be shipping locations, there's going to be personal storage locations. So what that landing zone needs is more intensive than previous. So with all of these things kind of considered, plus the fact with the work that we're already doing in Stanton, this is what's kind of given us our kind of like our preliminary release window. And we wanted more than anything for it to be this year. We tried really hard, but ultimately it comes to the point where we looked at it and we're like, there would be too much of a sacrifice to quality. The sacrifice would be on a player, and for me and Todd, that's not really the route we want to go down to. There's always a player first approach that we should do, so then when we do release it, it's not a disappointment.
All right, so initially that was really tough to listen to because it doesn't feel like they designed the game with the player first in their mind. It seems to be visual quality first and the wow factor, the things that sell the game. But when you really think about it, that is a player first focus, because we bought this game because we wanted to be wowed and we wanted to go to places and experience things that you can't experience in any other game. So if they just made a white box version of Orison and we walked around it and was just on a floating gray platform, would that be Star Citizen? Maybe it would be the best way to get feedback and design and see what we do, but would it be Star Citizen? So I listened to this over and over and over again, and I thought about this specific clip and the player first comment so many times, because a lot of players want to play. They don't want to look. But a big part of what makes Star Citizen is the visuals. I just hope that we get that gameplay side coming up from behind and starting to go neck and neck with the visuals at some point, but that seems quite a ways away right now. Moving on to other updates, this is where it gets tough. The Squadron 42 update post. I'm going to keep this one brief. Basically, we talked about it a lot on Answer the Call yesterday. I really shared my feelings about it, as well as other members of the Star Citizen community. So I'll leave a link in the top right of the screen there for you, so you guys can watch that yourself. It's about an hour and 45 minutes podcast, but again, the beginning I really share my thoughts on what's going on, but the people who called in really did add to the conversation. I think this was the best Answer the Call we've ever had. So yeah, I'm going to keep it brief on my thoughts, but basically what it feels like is the community team, the marketing team, and the video team are completely disconnected with the community and what the community needs, and specifically about Squadron 42 updates, what we're looking for. So I'm going to highlight the specific paragraph here where they talk about what the video that they were making that is so late even was. It was an ISC feature about some silly tech that they have in Squadron 42. Nobody wanted that. That's not the update that the community was up in arms about. Nobody was up in arms about finding out about conversation interrupt tech. They were up in arms because a lot of people want to see Squadron 42 done so they can play it, because that's why they backed the game. And a lot of people want to see Squadron 42 done so you could start actually prioritizing and paying attention to the MMO, Star Citizen. That is why we're upset. That is why there were countless Reddit threads and memes and jokes about the Squadron 42 update. Because we want to know where it's at. You need to tell us, what is the progress on the game? Where do we stand? How far out are we? You don't have to give dates, but give us a general idea of what's going on. Conversation tech isn't going to do that for us. And that's the toughest thing about this. So basically, this post was, kind of an update about what's going on, why isn't the video out yet, and, why it wasn't up to their standards. And for the most part, I sort of accept a lot of the conversation that was had in that post. What I can't accept is what the update was even going to be. How can you be that disconnected? It's just beyond me. Moving on. We had a lore post called Lost Squad, so if you're into the lore, make sure you go ahead and check that stuff out. There was a post about what is a good guide session, and there was a bit of a response from Xylo there. If it's over 30 minutes, the player gets a survey, so the team can get an idea of what's going on with these guide sessions. There was a little gifting update on the support page about how to gift and how it works and everything about it. Racing feedback. So this was actually really good to see. Yogi is amazing. This guy is constantly posting on Spectrum about flight model updates, and somebody asked, like, hey man, we like to race. All the changes you made kind of make it suck. So, what's going to happen in the future with racing? It's obviously a part of the game. You sell racing ships, things like that. And he gave a nice little update there, and, the future's promising, but the future is the future. So we'll have to see over the coming quarters how they add to the flight stuff and how it will bring back racing and make racing fun again. Racing was something I loved. I did it all the time. And it's been months, maybe years since I've played it. Then we got a sneak peek on the SimPod at, what is it called? The new shop at New Babbage. This is interesting because it's open. Are we going to be playing Arena Commander in Star Citizen? Can we connect to Arena Commander from Star Citizen? It's kind of interesting. And then lastly, there was a little leak this week on the Esperia Talon. Basically, there was a page that went up on the website that they immediately took down. So we're assuming that this is a Tavaran fighter, and this is going to be the next big sale for them, probably sometime this month. So it is it's a Tavaran fighter. So we'll have to see. The Prowler was a pretty popular ship. People seem to like it. So kind of looking forward to seeing what the interior of a fighter for Tavarans look like as well. And guys, that will do it. So thank you so much for watching this week. As you guys might know, I did get married, so that was pretty awesome. And just leave a like on the video. That is helping immensely, getting these updates out to people who are interested in Star Citizen, but my channel's still a little bit too small for Google to just send it out to everybody like some of the bigger channels have happened these days. So guys, thank you again. Make sure you hit subscribe. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you guys thought about everything here. And I'll check you guys next week. Have a good one, everybody.